Hello. Um, if you guys can just let me know that. Hello. If you guys could just let me know that you can hear me, see me, and hear Ableton, that'd be great. There we go. That's Ableton playing. So I'm just waiting for someone to let me know that everything is good and that we can get cracking with the masterclass for today. Brilliant stuff. So, this week is about effects. So, first thing that I want to do is last week we were messing around with some MIDI and converting it into audio and just generally doing some cool stuff with audio. So, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, because we did all that in the arrange page, because the best place to do audio or the only place to edit audio is the arrange page. So what I'm just going to do now to start this master class is just to grab everything that I've done in the arrange page and I'm going to bring it across to session view. So in order to do that properly and keep everything in the right timing as it was, I'm going to have to consolidate this stuff. So let's do that. So if I just select that there and I go control consolidate, and I just make sure that I've got the right amount of time there, so that's my 8 bars. Could do that of all the stuff that needs consolidating. And one thing that's a little bit weird about Ableton, when you consolidate something, it defaults. It doesn't default to loop, so you have to switch loop back on there. So let me just get this, consolidate this. We've got this cool effects actually, so let's keep them separate actually. Let's do a new channel for each one and just put them all at the beginning of the bar there. So first let's consolidate this one, because this one needs consolidating like that. Edit, consolidate, and then I'm just going to get rid of that there, bring that across there. So we've got that is one effect, and these are going to be one shot, so we don't need to loop these. And then that's going to be on the second channel, that's already consolidated. And then this one over here, get rid of these ones here, and just going to grab this long one from over here into that, and that's a reverse voice there, so that's already consolidated. So now we just got them, they're like one shots, tidied them up, we can just name them, voice check. Hold on. So if I hold down Command and R, I can just rename that. So Rev Box, and this one is check it out. Standard, just check it out. And this one is a chopped up one that we did. So chopped. So this is chopped here. And here is our breakbeat that we chopped up. So we need to consolidate that because that's all in little pieces there. So let me just control consolidate. And what other audio editing did we do? I'm going to put loop on that one there. I think that was it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab everything. So everything from the whole track that we've got in scenes here. So that's selected everything down there as well. So we want everything, and then copy. and then I'm just going to drop this into a brand new scene here, and then I'm just going to go create, insert scene. I'm going to call this scene everything, so it's got everything we've done so far in one scene. And the thing is, we've got to make sure that we go on the first channel here. So we select the first channel here, and if we hit Command and V, then everything that we've done in the arrange page has now been converted over into our session view. So that's all the elements we've worked on. Obviously, not everything's going to go with everything else because we've got bass lines and all sorts of things going on here, which is strange, right? So, sorry, just trying to figure out, we've got something soloed in that group, so I need to unsolo that. So now... That's everything together, okay, so everything doesn't really go together. We need to do some tidying up before it becomes a track. But we've got the main elements that we need to use here. So I'm just going to go, today's more about the creative use of effects. I'm going to start looking at some creative things we can do with these elements. So let me create a new scene here. So I'm going to set up a scene here with a kick drum, and let's get that breakbeat that we chopped up, because we're going to want to use that in the track. At the moment, okay, so that's not the one that we chopped up. That was one that we used in the rhythms in the MIDI slice. That's a slicer one. So we've got, there's the one we chopped up. That's a classic breakbeat. At the moment, it's got too many bass frequencies. It's something that I like to use quite a lot, and this effect should not be confused with an EQ that you'd use for any serious EQ business. This is EQ3, and what EQ3 does, it kind of emulates a kind of DJ mixer. So it's not a professional EQ unit. It actually colours the sound even when it's on and nothing's been changed. So it makes everything sound a little bit kind of more analogy, like it's being pushed through a DJ mixer. But it's got this cool thing where you can just turn the different frequencies off like that and change the frequency. So I've taken all the bass out of that, and I can move that up and down. I can take the highs out. I quite like that because it gives you a kind of, it's like having a DJ mixer and just dropping the bass out. It gives it a nice kind of effect like that. By no means would I use this to EQ anything seriously. I use it as a kind of special effect, and I kind of like it on breakbeats because, you know, you're looking at a breakbeat and you know, that's the kind of thing that you want to sound like it's going through an analog mixer with the bass just turned down. So that works for me. Let's see what that goes like with the bass line there. Okay, so it kind of works. We have to look at that a bit later. So that's the first kind of effect I want to look at. Next up, I want to look at ways of fattening up the kick drum. Now we're going to look at EQ and, you know, mixing later on, but I'm just looking at things purely from a creative point of view. Now, one of my favourite effects for getting a big fat kick drum is corpus, and you can create like a sub. You know, instead of layering a kick drum, which is quite a common technique, you can actually create a sub kick drum inside corpus. So I'm going to grab that there. Sorry, I'm going to grab the preset actually. So I'm going to go. You've got these different kick drum presets. So you've got kick drum tight is quite nice. You've got a sub kick maker, which is really nice actually. So I'm going to put that in to our kick drum. Obviously that's very extreme, as it comes out like that. Without it, it's like that. So that's a fret too extreme. Once I start bringing that down, we get different effects. Without it, with it. And then I can mix the dry and wet, so I can just give a little bit of fattening up to that kick drum. Move this around to get a different, more boomy over there. So that's quite, it gives it quite a nice dirty sound actually. A little bit distorted, a little bit analogy, which is nice. It's definitely popular in a lot of modern house and techno, where you're trying to get stuff to sound pretty lo-fi, which is standard. The next thing that I'd look at for a kick drum is something that I like is a saturator. Now a saturator is like analog saturation, so it's somewhere between a little bit of distortion and compression. So it's a kind of effect you get when you overdrive a mixer channel or you saturate a tape. What you get is you get a natural kind of compression, a natural bit of distortion. So it kind of can make the sound, let's go for a bit warmer as a preset, a bit warmer. So I can change that to analog clipping, soft sine. So I quite like the analog clipping. Then you can change the drive and bring the drive extreme, less extreme. And then, yeah, so that's quite a nice effect. And then once again, you can move the dry and wet. So we've got quite a thumpy, grungy kind of kick drum now. Before we had quite clean, and now just a bit more grumpy, punchy and dirty now, which is nice. So so the next thing that I want to look at is an auto filter, something that I like to use a lot as well. There's several ways of using the auto filter. The most classic way, I would say, is the filter sweep, the low pass filter sweep. So let's do that on, we've already got our breakbeat there. So I'm gonna grab an auto filter here, and I'm just going to put a classic low pass filter on it like that. And we can actually change the filter so it sounds more like an analog filter. So what we need to do here, we have these different filter settings here. So we have OSR, MS2, SMP, PRD. Now you don't need to know what they are too much. They're basically emulating old analog filters. And once you put a little bit of drive on them as well, you can get something that sounds a little bit nicer and more analog. So the way that I would automate that in the clip is I would go to my clip here, hit that little button there which allows the opens up the automation, go to auto filter there and go to frequency. Now I want to unlink this clip, because if I unlink the clip then it means that I can, and then people get a little bit confused about this, but it's basically separating the length of the automation from the length of the clip. So if my clip is, as this clip is, 8 bars long, and I want to automate it over a longer period than 8 bars, then I simply hit unlinked and I make the length of the automation as long as I want. So I've made that quite long, so I'm going to have a nice little filter sweep in there. And filter sweeps work all over the place, they're great. Especially in electronic music, they add movement to a lot of places where you wouldn't normally have movement, so it can make your arrangement a lot more interesting. We're going to look at that later again in the arrangement week. So now I've got that Okay, so we've got a bit too much resonance on there. That's a nice filter sweep. See, trigger it again. Just play it without the kick drum. So that's a nice effect. Something else I want to look at is, right, so we had that, where's that vocal we had? Okay, so we had that vocal there. So another kind of filter that I like very much, and it adds movement, quite a lot of movement, is a bandpass filter with an LFO. So I'm just going to drop that filter on there like that. I'm going to select the bandpass filter there, and I'm going to have that like that. So now, so I'm trying to get that moving. So I'm going to use the LFO, which is low frequency oscillator. So that basically allows me to move my basically move my filter with the LFO in a sine wave. So it's going to move it. I'm going to keep the sine wave there. I'm going to move it in a nice smooth motion. So I've got a couple of options here. I can either move it so it's moving in time with the music. So it's based on a 16th, an 8th, quarter bar, half bar, 1 bar there, or I can measure it in hertz, and that's a movement. So it's not related to the BPM of the track then. So I'm going to measure it in hertz this time, so I want a nice slow LFO. I'm going to turn, and we can mess around with it. Maybe we'll try some other ones as well. So I'm just going to play that now. Can you see that? That's moving the frequency. We could have it even slower. Or we could have it going in time. That's 1/16 of a bar. That's 1/4 bar. That's 8 bars there. So that's nice and slow, but it's also gonna work nicely in time with our track, basically. So a lot of fun with auto filters. Also a high pass filter is kind of great to put on your master channel. You can put it in lots of other places as well, but say you've got everything grooving in your track. Let's get something else in there. Let's get that break beat in there, shall we? Put an auto filter for kind of DJ style effects. Now I'm going to turn that filter off, and then I'm going to turn it to a high pass filter. So it needs to be a high pass filter for this effect. I mean, you could use a low pass filter as well, but for the effect I want a high pass filter, and I'm just going to turn it on. So you can have a lot of fun with high pass, low pass, auto filters, and just just experiment with what I've been doing. You don't have to you can use a low pass filter on loads of different things. You can use a band pass filter on loads of different things. You can use a mixture of automation, LFOs, the analog feel, and just have a little bit of a play around with that, and you'll quite quickly find that you can start bringing things to life. And quite often it could just be like a synth line. You're like, why does that sound a little bit boring? Why is that a little bit flat? And then you put a filter on it and you start moving it around in the mix, and automating it, and suddenly it brings stuff to life and it starts giving your track a bit of movement. So yeah, where are we going to go next? Okay, so look, let's look. We looked a little bit at delays last time, and we did the reverse delay and all that kind of stuff. One effect that is used over and over again is repitch delays, right? So in the olden days, with analog delays, when you change the speed of the delay, the modulation of the delay, the pitch of the thing being delayed would change as well, and it's a classic effect. You'll hear it all over the place. So let's try and emulate that. So I'm going to put a delay on here. Let me just check in on the video, make sure that everything's fine there. Okay, good. So yeah, so let's go back into Ableton. Right, so with a delay, I can now, let's check it out. I'm going to put this on in series. I could do it in put it on a return as well. Actually, let's put it on return, because then we can automate the send and return, which would be nice actually. So let me create return track. So I'm just going to insert another return track, and I'm going to call this return track repitch delay. So not delete the track. So Command R repitch, and I'm going to put delay on there. Simple delay is always good. Oh no, actually, let's do a ping pong delay, because then we're working in stereo together. And I'm going to switch this. I'm going to turn sync off, and I'm going to measure it in milliseconds here. If I control click on that delay here, then you see here where it says repitch, fade, or jump. I'm going to go to repitch. So now when I change the delay time, it's actually, let's make that really wide. When I change the delay time, it's actually going to repitch with the delay time. So look, let's do that with this vocal. Check it out. We've already got a delay on there, but I'm all up for putting more than one delay on things, especially for WFX. Wrong thing. Let's clear this up a little bit. This page here. Right, so let's go to the Vox. Check it out. I'm going to send that to my C, which is my ping pong delay. Let's solo that for now. Check it out. So now if I turn that up to 100% wet, which I need to do for return. Check it out. So let me do this again. Right, so repitch there. Send to the repitch. Check it out. So now you can hear that delay is repitching. So what I need to do, can you hear that crazy weirdness happening there? So what I need to do is I now need to automate. So let me grab this and go back into the arrange page. I need to automate the delay time in the arrange page. So look, we have that already in the arrange page there. So look, Let's press this so we're listening to this in the arrange page.
Check it out.
So you can hear that, like Mickey Mouse effect. And now, so if I go into this channel here, I can actually automate. I can actually change the time delay here. So that's going to change. That's a bit too excessive. So now when I press this here,
Check it out.
so you get that crazy
Check it out.
kind of crazy repitch effect of that delay. I'll turn this up so you can hear it more now. And let's go to here like this. Start fast, go slow like that, and go really slow like that.
Check it out.
Can you hear that crazy Mickey Mouse sound, or you can have it a little bit subtler?
Check it out.
So when you play around with that, you can get some really cool kind of effects out of it.
Check it out.
You could also do it with repitch off. So when you have it with just fade, you get more of this kind of effect. That kind of effect. Or you can have it with fade on. Or jump on, rather.
Check it out.
Which is a little bit more subtle.
Check it out.
So yeah, and then you can have repitch on as well, so you can have a bit more kind of crazy stuff going on.
Check it out.
So that's and with a little bit of playing around with that, you can have quite a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. And obviously, if you're gonna mess around with the frequencies and stuff of your delay as well, you can automate that as well and get some crazy stuff going on.
Check it out.
So hopefully today that's some useful creative use of effects that you can get your teeth stuck into over the next week or so, and start making your own kind of sounds from a few of the techniques I've discussed today. Now it's time for me to fire over to your questions. Let me just save this actually while I'm here. So just waiting for your questions now, guys. Come on, guys. Would you normally EQ channels as you go, or wait till the finished most of the project? So yeah, I normally do mix as I go along, and do a certain amount of EQing when I'm in the process of creating. But I'll definitely do a final mix down as well. So yeah, a mixture of both, I would say, is probably the best way of saying it. Right, so yeah, okay, so right, side chaining, and it's not really this week's discussion. We're going to be looking at that more in the mixdown week, but the basic principle of side chaining is using something else to trigger another device. So if I was going to, quick explanation, if I was going to side chain my bass to my kick, let me just set this up for you. So let me set up a new scene here with just my bass and my kick here. And we will go into this in a lot more detail later on in the course. So there we go, there's my kick there. And here's my bass. So say I wanted to sidechain my bass to my kick drum, I would put, using a compressor, I would grab a compressor here. And then I would hit the arrow there, and that allows me to select the sidechain, and I would take the input for my kick drum, and now you can see that kick drum is now triggering the compressor. So it's actually just moving the bass out of the way when the kick drum is triggering. So the kick drum is then triggering the compressor. But don't like if you don't quite understand it yet, we're going to be doing compression and that kind of stuff, and going into a lot more detail later on in the course and that kind of stuff. So we've got loads of time. I'm sure some of you have got questions here. I'm sure you have. Right, so you have got an LFO tool. It's Max. It doesn't have standard, but you can get either a third-party plugin, which does the job, or you can use a Max for Live LFO, which is pretty cool. So you can, it does, but not as standard, able to an instrument. So you can get a Max for Live LFO, and there's also a couple at least of third-party LFO tools that you can use. But I would use the Max for Live one. It's pretty cool. Yeah, of course, I use it in arrangement. It's very important to use it in arrangement as well. But if, as you'll see on the course, if you're going to be building, you're going to be building a track in session view, which is a very good way of building an arrangement. You can do a lot of arrangement in the session view, and then when you record it, it gets recorded into the arrange page, so you can edit it. So it's a cool way of working. And then any kind of more in-depth kind of automation, once the arrangement is laid out, I would do in the arrange page rather than in session view. But for building a track, or if you want to do a live set, or you want to build some ideas and record them by jamming them into the arrange page from session view, I would definitely do the automation or some basic automation in session view first, if that makes sense. Right, so yeah, you can get the clips to play in a different order using. Now you can't do it as scenes. Um, you can play the clips individually, trigger them like this, or you can use what's called. So if I click into here and I go into here, I've got follow actions on the launch, which means I can get the clip to play the next clip if I play that one. See, it's automatically playing the next one. It's not very clear because they're the same, but let's make this one a bit different. So I've got this now. It's going to play that clip after that clip, and you've got lots of different ways of getting these follow actions going. So you can make them play the previous clip. So I could make that one play the previous clip. So now if I press that one there, they're going to go round in a circle. And then I've got lots of different options. I've got probability and different options. It's all in the course notes if you want to go a little bit deeper into that. But that's how you'd get individual clips to play automatically, one after the other, or get them going in a different order. You could do it that way. Okay, so I'm sure you've got some more questions for me, guys. We've still got 10 minutes left, so. Ah, so yeah, so we had a little look at a noise sweep when you reverse a clip. Um, so what I would do is I would probably use like a crash cymbal or something like that to get that kind of effect. Um, something that I yeah, I mean I'm going to do that on the synthesis this week, go into a lot more kind of detail on that. But I suppose as everything's a little bit quiet, um, I can do that now, and I'll just repeat it in a little bit more detail on the synthesis week. So the way that I would create a noise sweep is I would let me create a MIDI track. I would grab analog. Analog is great for this kind of stuff, really simple. So go into my instruments here, grab an analog, and then I would turn the second oscillator off, and I just put the first oscillator to noise. So then I've just got white noise playing. So I'm just going to make this a nice long. So let's do this so it just loops forever. If I have my start point separate from my loop point like this, and then I just have that looping like that, that will just play indefinitely then. So now all I need to do is I need to automate the filter. So let's put a bit of resonance on it and bring the cutoff down like that. And then I can just automate the filter to basically be as long. So let's make this nice and long like this. Oh, one thing. More length. Let's make this nice and long here. And put a nice little quick filter sweep in that. And then we get a classic white noise filter sweep. Obviously we can automate the volume as well, so we don't get the so I'm going to automate the volume of the device as well, so we don't get that clicky sound at the beginning. Unlink that as well, make that like that, and then just automate the volume. Very short volume automation at the beginning there, like that. So now it goes like this. Hold on. We're getting a bit of an annoying noise at the beginning there. There we go, that's it. So and then obviously you can make it as fast as you want. You can turn the resonance up more. Still annoying me, that squeak at the beginning. Perhaps I'll put a utility on that and automate the volume on the utility. If I want to automate volume in Ableton, I normally use a utility to do it. So let's automate that utility there. It's very loud now. Okay. Didn't want to bring the volume up that loud. Just to 0 dB. So like that. And obviously you can use several variations to get different effects. So hopefully that's something you could use. Okay guys, so look, that's bringing us to the end now. So yeah, I know it's been a little bit quiet today. But look, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you all got something from it. It's been fun for me. So speak soon, people, and catch up very shortly. So peace out. Take it easy. See you later. Bye.